Justice, I must say, there is truth to that rumor about chicken soup.
It's
Okay.
good for your soul.
I don't know about my soul, but it sure as hell cleared up my cold, or whatever it was that I was getting, my sinus drip, my whatever. I feel so much better today, that my energy level is, well, I'll probably be worn out after the show, but until that time.
Great. We're glad you're feeling better. Not that it was a bad show yesterday. We liked the show. Apparently, I talked too much, but we already knew that. So whatever.
Well, Farzad is a great
He's amazing.
guest, and I don't even like to use the term guest. He's just a great guy, and I'm sorry that I didn't really get to participate yesterday, because I really love listening to him, and I really appreciate his thoughts and comments. So
yeah, he was great, and we are going to arrange simul broadcast next.
oh,
So
cool.
in the next couple of weeks, we want to broadcast to his audience and here on the live with you this time.
Okay.
We can all chat. So that sounded like a great fun. So
I'm in.
he is down to do more with us, and obviously he's great to talk to and so knowledgeable.
He
So
really is.
looking forward to that.
Yes. Yes. And as you can see, if you've looked at my headline, I am green with EV envy, apparently. And I must say, you sent me an email with some reading homework to do. And my son, he had me doing other homework at the time. And so I haven't read what I was supposed to read.
Now, I gave you seconds to read that. Come on, seconds before airtime. I can't believe you didn't read it.
I did not. I admit it. So I apologize for that. But I do know, isn't Hyundai and Kia, aren't they doing the pass through of the whatever federal tax credits there are on their leases to their customers to help make them more affordable?
So several automakers are doing
Okay.
it, not just Hyundai Kia. Yes, Hyundai Kia were the first ones to say, look, we don't qualify, so we're just going to give you a $7,500 rebate. But with the Inflation Reduction Act, there's a loophole that allows almost every auto manufacturer to do so.
Really?
Yes.
It's hard to imagine that in any legislation in this country that there could possibly be something like a loophole. How could that be?
Yep. So this is for a lot of manufacturers that don't actually qualify for.
Okay.
They can still pass through that rebate and they will collect it on their end. So,
but how? How do they? I mean, if they don't qualify for it, then how do they collect it on? I don't understand that loophole.
It basically eliminates the mineral component if it's a lease through for some reason. Only on lease. Yes, it is. It's a loophole on lease only.
Okay.
So that's
a good thing.
What it is. Yeah.
And can I say why that's a good thing? If it encourages more people to lease that vehicle, okay, then ultimately 3 years from now, those people are going to need, and my suspicion is this is just a suspicion at this point because I haven't read anything. But my suspicion would be that the way these lease companies will structure these leases is that they will take away the customer's ability to be able to buy out the lease at the end. And by doing that, then they can assure themselves of having adequate pre-owned inventory 3 years from now to sell to others who could not afford to get and cannot afford to get into a brand new EV, so that they can help foster a quicker takeover of the industry by EVs.
Yeah, and as Michael said, Tesla already did that.
I mean, yeah, I know they did.
I think to somewhat their detriment. Right now, I don't see that happening. What I am seeing is a lot of lease to own deals. We do a lot of those where they're leasing it for a month or two, and they're just buying it out, so they get
Gotcha.
$500. We've done actually quite a few of those deals. I know OEMs are sort of looking at that practice, and I think you're right, Ray. I think they may end up going that route because they're not so appreciative of that tactic.
Hmm.
Getting the $7,500 rebate and then doing it. It's also great for those who don't qualify for the $7,500 tax credit.
Sure.
That's a lot of people who would not get an extra $7,500 back every year. But you can really get into an EV very affordably that way. Whether you're leasing to buy or lease for the whole term, like
Yes.
it's a really great way to get in there as long as there's no markups. I have a story to tell about this last weekend. I went to several different dealerships looking at all their EVs
Yes.
and voideered their salespeople. Um, yeah, it was interesting. Currently you can buy it at the end of
Okay.
most vehicles, not Tesla,
Yes.
um, but
Well,
but
personally,
most
I think
vehicles you
that,
can. But I think that's going to change. I agree with you, Ray.
yeah, I think that's a mistake on their part. I think if they force people to have to get a different vehicle in 3 years, that just brings more used EVs to the marketplace
Yep.
to make it easier for people who can't afford a brand new one to get into a pre-owned one. Um, so if these manufacturers are not doing that in those leases, um, perhaps they should take some advice from their newfound Uncle Ray. um, and it might be a policy that they might want to implement so that they can further speed up the move to EVs moving forward 3 years from now.
Yeah, I agree. And as Igor says, check with your state, not just your state, local
Yeah,
too. A lot of power companies have all kinds of great incentives. I know you can get, if you're going through Tesla, if you're in Texas and you go through Tesla Energy, you can get free charging at home
really.
overnight. Yeah. But there's a lot of power company incentives. California, you can get another up to $7,500 back. So you can start stacking some of these and get really quite a bit of savings.
Wow, wow, I kind of
Uh,
like that.
yeah. So and I agree with you. I like what a way to do this. I think you're right. What a way to get adoption by getting these cars leased now and then having sort of flood the used market in 3 years you know with these cheaper EVs
Yeah,
that people can actually afford, hopefully. Um, and you get you probably wouldn't get the 4,000 because it wouldn't be under 20 necessarily,
yeah.
but yeah,
I
Colorado has good incentives too. um, Washington has amazing incentives, so they're out there.
the incentive in New Jersey is that they'll just let you live here.
Yeah. Well, New Jersey, hey, you know what? As she said, in Jersey, they ran out of EV incentives, and to their credit,
Yeah,
a government agency that said, "Oh no, we ran out. We're done. That's it."
yeah.
Like that almost never happens.
Well, yeah. Well,
Here in
why?
California, they'll go, "We're just going to extend it."
Yeah, why not admit that you no longer have any money left to to incentivize these things? I mean, if
Yeah,
there's only X amount of dollars and you spend it, then you're done. I mean, it's an interesting concept that's not particularly followed here in the United States very often, but I
yeah,
think it makes sense.
and then
What do you think of my carpet in the background with the various colors? Can you see that or?
a little bit. I can see the
Okay.
corner of it there.
Yeah, yeah,
That's nice. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Then
Yeah.
Jared says, I care about the government spending money on this, but not the other $33 trillion that they're wasting money on everywhere else.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not
EVs are,
wasting money, it's
yeah,
money that's spent and we have to
yeah.
pay for it.
But I
Um,
mean, the EV subsidies are so small compared to what we give everywhere else, including gas and coal and OEM manufacturer subsidy. Like the EV's a drop in the bucket on there. So like we have to attack a lot of other things first.
Um, if you want to say that there's some waste in federal spending, um, that if we really took a close eye to it, that we could probably save the American taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars a year. Um, yeah, we probably could. Are we going to? No, we're probably not. We're too damn
we're
lazy.
not.
So
Well, it's so convoluted. You need AI to go in there and try to figure it out for you,
yes,
because
yes.
no human could figure out the system that we
And
created.
even if we found companies that were doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, and we collect money from them for having done the things they shouldn't have done, we would still never force them to admit guilt or really hold them accountable. So
Yeah.
what the hell difference does it
Yeah.
make? Yeah.
So speaking of,
Yes.
Georgia
Yes.
is starting to lead the EV revolution here. Now, they've got Hyundai building their plant. They have LG going in and building their plant. They
Isn't
got
Rivian building a plant in
yeah,
Georgia as well?
Yep. They're like welcoming everybody. And they
Wow.
fought against the ESG, and yet still they say one thing and then they're sort of bringing all these companies on the other, and it's really becoming a boon for the state. To me,
Yeah.
they seem to be doing for the EV market what they did to Hollywood, and they're just stealing it from everybody else. Everyone else
Yeah.
wants to fight and say, no, 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 we don't want subsidies. We don't want to do this and that. And George is like, okay, we'll take it. You
Yeah.
can all
Well,
you can all come here. We'll give you subsidies. We'll help you build. We'll get you in here to create all the jobs and to do everything else. Like, we have no problem with that.
yeah, so Georgia might become the EV state instead of the peach state.
Yeah, well, I mean, they already film more in Georgia than they do in California.
Wow,
More movies and television shows are filmed there.
really? I
Um,
had no idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, well, California is actually kind of low on the list nowadays,
yeah,
uh, but yeah, they're number one in the U.S. for that, and they're just running full bore with the EV thing, both in batteries and OEMs coming in and making vehicles. So they're all in on manufacturing. They're all in on this, and it seems like a very bright road ahead for them. Uh, which I think is really smart. They're becoming sort of the powerhouse of the South.
Okay. I
What?
could be. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm trying to think. I was in the Atlanta airport for 20 minutes one day. Um, when we
Yeah.
flew to St.
Yeah.
Martin and flew back, I haven't spent any. I mean, the sad reality is that Zach and I, yeah, Tyler Perry, baby, Zach and
Sorry.
I, we were supposed to have gone to an Arizona Cardinals against the Atlanta Falcons game on January 1st, and that game was in Atlanta, and and the Cardinals really sucked. And so like 2 weeks before the game, I said to Zach, I said, God, I wish we weren't going to Atlanta. He goes, you want to not go? I go, yeah, I want to not go. But I at some point I would like to get to Atlanta and see what all the fuss is about. It's because it's supposed to be a lovely city, from what I
It is.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there. I
Yeah.
filmed an episode of a TV show there. I can't say what it was, but look up my IMDb. You can find it there.
Okay.
And I was there for 5 days filming a TV show, and it was beautiful. I like it. It was really nice there. I liked it. I did not get to Tyler Perry's studio, which I
Yeah.
really, really wanted to. As if you don't know, Ray, it's the largest studio in the U.S.
You're kidding.
No, he has a full-size replica of the White House inside and out. He's the only studio in the United States to have that. It's a amazing studio. He's done amazing things there. So I wanted to go see that, but I could not. They don't have
Wow.
public tours,
Wow.
unfortunately. but I'll
Wow.
get there someday.
I would settle for a reasonable facsimile of inside and outside of the White House,
Yeah, I was like,
but a
it's
miniature version.
yeah, his is full scale. So wow.
Wow.
And then our last story, which I wanted to save the most time for because I think it's incredible, and
Okay.
I know you didn't get to read this, but there's a company called Electrons. We're going to go with Electrons. I don't know how you
Okay.
would say, who has done wireless road technology. And they set a new record with a RAV4 plug-in
Okay.
hybrid
Yeah.
where they drove over 100 hours nonstop. I mean, they stopped to change drivers, but that's it. Didn't turn
Yeah.
off the engine. So 1,206 miles driven
Yeah.
without stopping to recharge, without doing anything other than to change out the drivers.
Yeah. And so
Uh,
the point of that is to prove what?
the point of that was to prove that so only 25% of the track was actually wired
Yeah.
for wireless charging, and they had an 18 kilowatt battery.
Yeah.
So a teeny
That's
tiny
like
battery.
nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
teeny tiny battery.
Yeah.
Didn't run on gas at all the whole time. The battery never got to zero, and they went 1,200 miles on the one charge. So their point is that doing wireless roads
Yeah.
is a viable option uh,
Okay.
to them.
Yes.
I think they're over in Israel or somewhere. So I have questions whether they know what like the California roads are like,
Yeah.
because I don't know what kind of technology you have to have in the roads, but I'm going to say gigantic potholes and cracks probably hurt that.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
And what do you have to do to get the stuff installed in the first place?
yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's not meant for tomorrow,
Yeah.
but it is meant for the future. They did so the summary here is they did 100 hours, 24 minutes, and 15 seconds of total drive time, uh, 1,942 kilometers, 2,000 or 241 kilowatt hours of energy was transferred, saving 373 kilograms of CO2 emissions versus ice during that trip.
Wow.
So, and they just stopped because it was time to stop. They didn't stop because the battery was drained or anything. They say, you can just go forever in this way. And again, on an 18 kilowatt battery, which
And
sort of
and
leads to what Farley was talking about.
and 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 only 25% of the roadway had the wireless charging
Yeah.
built into it.
Yeah.
Wow.
You only needed 25%. So, yeah. And I'm not sure what speed they drove. I'm sure we can do the
2
math.
miles an hour. Two no.
Well, so if it took them 100 hours
Yeah.
to go 1,200 miles, I
Yeah.
think you can figure out the speed there. Not I, but somebody who's good at
Yeah.
math can.
Somebody who
Uh,
has their calculator open could.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, but the point is that it's a viable future alternative. I think again, I want to know what it requires in the roadway.
Yes.
There is I know he's joking, but kind of not at the same time.
Yeah.
Detroit, they'd be mining for copper in the roadway. Yeah, like, are there going to be precious metals down there? How easy is it to get to? Those kind of things. I have questions about how the road is built, and they don't go to that in this article. But if it's I think it's more than 10 miles an hour, but not much. It's definitely not 60 miles an hour, I'll tell
Yeah.
you that. However, this is an 18 kilowatt battery. If we're, let's say we do a 50 kilowatt battery on the roadways, and this is what it is, that eliminates range anxiety. But obviously, it eliminates a lot of other problems. I don't think snow would be an issue, just by the wireless technology that we already have that shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's magnetic. Uh, Other debris, metal debris, stuff in the road, I don't know, animal carcasses, maybe.
Wow. I was convinced when I first moved to Arizona, many years ago, before we moved back east again. And I went to get my driver's license, and I said to the gentleman at DMV, I said, I'm assuming that's a driver's license and a hunting license all in one. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, you just drive the roads. There's all these dead animals scattered everywhere
Yeah.
on the roads. I figure that's how people hunt out here, is with their vehicle. He didn't see the humor in that. Probably most folks don't see the humor in that, but it just seemed humorous to me at the time. So,
Well, Ray, my very first driver's license was in Arizona. I
oh,
got it
okay,
when I was in Tucson, and
okay,
that thing I think still hasn't expired. It's crazy. It's crazy how long that thing went. I was just like, is it just that you're not going to hit anything? You're like, just don't hit a cactus and you're fine. Because I know, at least in Tucson, the cactus was the only thing they cared about. Like, you hit anything else,
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Hey,
But don't hit the cactus.
yeah, yeah. That's some crazy stuff. Yeah,
Uh, but
really is.
I like that. Try driving through Atlanta at that speed. You know what that would be good for is L.A. You're not going to drive
Yeah,
more than 12 miles an hour in
that would be
L.A.
perfect
anyway,
in
so it would be
LA. Yeah,
perfect. Yeah. You can just keep charged as you're sitting on the freeway, and
yes,
then yeah.
that
So
would be
it
perfect.
was 100 hours. So it was 100 hours, not 200 hours. So
So
yeah,
that
so
would
it's
so then
about
it would be
12.
12.4.
Yeah, 12,
Okay.
about 12 miles an hour. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
but
I guess it
again,
keeps
I had an
walking.
18 kilowatt battery that they never ran out. So, like, I don't think anyone's championing the 18 kilowatt, but we certainly don't need, 75 or 100
Well,
if that was the case.
yeah. I would just be curious as to how it actually gets installed in a roadway.
Yeah.
Um,
And what it is. I want to know what it is. If there
yeah,
are rare earth minerals in there that people want to get. I mean, okay, look, breaking up a roadway is going to be hard. It's not like
yeah, yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
going out
No,
there with a jackhammer, but still, like, there are some concerns, and what happens in potholes. How well do they stand up? And there's all kinds of questions.
yeah, but it would. I would be curious as to the cost of it, and
Yeah,
the amount of time it would require to actually pave a roadway or major roadways, because let's face it, it sounds to me like if this could be done properly, um, then you'd want it on your interstates and
yeah,
things like that.
that that's
Okay,
what I
and
that's what I was thinking
interstates,
too.
you're not traveling at 12 miles an hour.
Yeah,
You're traveling at 65 miles an hour or more. Um, so that would, it would be interesting. I think it's still a long way off from
yeah,
really
yeah.
happening.
This is just the beginning. Yeah, there's certainly other things. It's going to be shared. It's not going to be a single car on the
Yeah,
road charging. So there's that. Uh, Wireless charging is a lot more efficient than it once was. They
yeah.
do have wireless charging at some airports that they're testing out in Michigan that are working
Well,
really really well.
you showed a picture of Polestars or Volvos in, what was it,
Volvos.
Sweden? Yeah,
Yeah.
where they've come up with the wireless charging
Yeah.
for those vehicles that they just pull into these specialized parking spots.
Yeah,
Mm.
and that makes a lot of sense. And are they superchargers? No, they're not supercharging, but they do still do a really good job of getting charged. That makes more sense to me than this.
Yes,
But to your point, it would just be like on the highways and the interstates, right? And then
I would think.
which are already expensive to build, to other people's points. However, I say we're spending a lot of money on charging infrastructure right now. So if that money was spent on to combine it with the roadway, you know, instead of both, it's just an interesting experiment right now. And and definitely something to look at and think about. I do think it's an interesting idea. I do agree that wireless charging in parking spaces seems to make more sense to me right off the bat. I would feel like it would just be more efficient.
You would think, um, and especially for people who live in inner cities, it could be much more reasonable to do something like that, to do wireless charging parking spaces,
Yeah.
as opposed to having to have chargers up and down city streets. You know,
Yeah, that definitely was one that I thought made more sense. I would love the parking spots. Those seem to make a lot more sense when built into the road and not the cable that you're plugging in, which
yes,
can
yes,
get vandalized and broken and all the other things that go with that.
yes,
Uh,
especially in a city.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
interesting stuff.
Probably not too much at the country store, but in the city makes most
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. Like if you were in DC and you wanted to pick up some lunch at Ben's Chili Bowl, it would be great if there was a couple electrified parking spots out front.
Yeah,
With wireless charging, while you're waiting um, to get your food.
yeah, and it doesn't seem like it would cost that much more, or it actually feels like it would cost less. I would think than the than when you figure maintenance into the actual charging stations
Yes,
into it. Probably the upfront is similar or a little bit more, but after maintenance, uh, it's probably going to be there. This is a secret. Don't tell Ray. Uh, so
you're taking me for a ride in a Tesla.
I didn't say that. I have
Well,
no idea. I have not heard anything like that. I don't know what you're talking
yeah,
about. Ray.
is, is,
But
is that happening in Detroit?
uh, who knows? You can never predict the future, Ray.
I
We
I I I think you're lying to me when you say who knows, because I think you knows.
I just, I mean, look, if you brought it up, if you want to do that, I think we can make that happen.
Well, if I'm going, and it really shocked Zach when
It
he
did.
found it.
It did.
No, literally, he still hasn't gotten over it. But yeah, because I think it would be great to hang out with everybody. I'll say it again. I could give two poops about the car show itself, but I would give the world to spend time with the team. Um, and yes, if you want to educate me, as I would say, on EVs to a greater degree than you have already, and you want me to actually ride in some, yes, yes, I
Yeah.
would do that. Will I become an EV convert? I don't know. Perhaps.
I, I doubt it. But as I always say, Ray, that's not the purpose of what we do here. Isn't to convert people. It's
Yes.
just to educate, so you don't have stupid objections. You have real objections. Because we've seen the EVs cause cancer, and you're like, shut up. Like that's not a like
I thought that was windmills.
oh that yeah, it's all of them. Like come on, have all we want you to do is have real objections based on fact. If you're going to object, and I have no problem with that. So
There's really only one reason at this point why I have not gotten an EV. And that reason is simply the fact that at where I live, we have no charging at the condo.
yeah,
Um, and I don't necessarily want to drive somewhere and have to wait 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is to charge, because I don't wait 20 minutes or 30 minutes to fill my Mini. Even when that thing's on empty, I mean, it's a 13-gallon tank. How long can it take to pump 13 gallons of gas into a car? Um, so
so Well, also what I hear you saying, Ray, because
Yes.
we've had this discussion on the show is not only do you need to ride in an EV, but we need to go charge one up. So you
Okay.
see that it does not take 30 minutes to charge.
Okay. So maybe
Yeah.
what we need to do is we need to do an episode. We film an episode,
Yeah.
okay, of you and me. You take me out in an EV, I drive one, I ride in one as a passenger, and we go to a charging station and we charge it. And we see how how easy it is, I suppose. And so that I fall head over heels in love with a Tesla, and I drop down on a knee and propose to the Tesla, not you.
Exactly. Exactly. um, so I don't know that we're going to get Ray to sit in a car that is driving itself. That might
I
be
have
a
done
hurdle.
that. You know,
Have you?
Zach,
Okay.
when Zach and I were in Las Vegas a couple years ago, you know, we got one of those Ubers or whatever it was, one of the self-driving BMW Ubers. And you know, it was interesting because for a vehicle that was self-driving, it had two people in the front seat. One explaining exactly what was going on, and the other sitting behind the steering wheel just in case the
Yep.
technology didn't work. So I found it interesting for a self-driving vehicle, you needed two people to drive it, but you know, kept his hands off the wheels. Yeah, didn't have his feet on the gas or the brakes. It did everything it was supposed to do. So I have ridden in a self-driving vehicle.
Okay.
That I have done. Uh, you know, I took a mini electric vehicle out for a ride a couple years ago. I mean, it was like, you know, I think I drove it about a half a mile. I mean, you know, which I would suspect is not enough. But yes, I would
No,
love.
it takes a little bit.
Yeah,
And I know you had regenerative braking, which you didn't care for at first.
well, I didn't understand it at first.
Okay.
You know,
Because that's personally my favorite feature is regenerative braking. I love
okay.
one pedal driving. It is absolutely my favorite feature.
Well, you know, maybe
Yeah.
I could learn to fall in love with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it could be fun for us to do an episode, a filmed episode of
Yeah.
you and I driving. It would kind of like when Zach and I used to do those quasi car reviews.
Yeah.
That
I miss those. I
yeah,
like
well,
those.
so did I, because we drove some pretty interesting cars.
Yeah.
We really did. But they just didn't get any real play at all on the Ray and Zach channel when we did those. But yeah,
I don't think you guys gave it enough time. That was I think it takes a while, as we know on this channel.
Yes,
it takes a while to build an audience.
it does. But you know, people complained about it because, well, I didn't take the review seriously enough. I didn't get into it real in depth about the torque and this or whatever it was, and it was like, man, I want to see how easy it is for me to hook up my cell phone and to be able to utilize the infotainment center so that I can do stuff that I need to do. That's the stuff that was important to me, like ease of being able to get in and out of a vehicle. Like I remember that Bronco Badlands or whatever the hell it was. I mean, I felt like I needed a parachute when I was trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just because, okay, so my inseam is like 29 inches. I got really short legs, ladies and gentlemen. I admit it. Okay, so it just felt like I had to fall a long way to get out of it. But those, for me, those were the type of things that were important in a review to a vehicle. How easy is it to use the technology in it? How easy is it for an old person to be able to get in and out of it? Those things. And then to have a conversation with Zach as we were doing it. And then to watch him scare the poop out of me when we would be in those really fast cars and we were on curvy roads.
Yeah, well, get ready for that again, because we're gonna put you in a Model 3 or Y, and we're gonna show you the torque and power of that thing. We'll find a
Okay.
dual motor to rent and get it out there performance.
Okay,
Uh,
I'm in.
like
I'm
you did,
in.
yeah.
I'm
And then
absolutely in.
but Jared has a question. Do you have a bat suit? And by the way, it's called a Falcon wing door, but I would love a Vulcan wing door. Um, I don't know what it is, but it sounds a lot more entertaining than a Falcon wing door.
Wow.
Do you have a bat suit that you can bring to Detroit with you?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that one's off the table.
But I promised to wear one of my dress T-shirts and and a collared shirt over top, kind of like I'm doing today. I mean, I'll pull out one of my nicer shirts for this.
Yeah, I'll bring one of my jackets for
Okay.
this episode.
Yeah.
I will not wear it around the convention, however.
No, I am truly excited at the prospect of doing this. As crazy as that may seem, because my son knows how much I abhor auto shows.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so do we. And we really appreciate you wanting to come. I know the coaches were all extremely excited in the meeting when I told them that you were going to come.
Yeah.
So that just made everything better. We started thinking about restaurants we wanted to go to and where we wanted to go, because we had already started some plans, and then Ray's coming. Okay, so now we have to go here, and now we have to do this. So you have changed our plans for the better.
Okay.
For coming, and we're all very excited.
One thing I will say for sure is I've never had a real honest to goodness Detroit style pizza.
Oh, Ray, you were the only other one. Thank you. That's the first thing I said to Phil was, "Oh, Detroit style pizza,"
Yeah.
and he said Coney Island dogs, and I'm like, I
Okay,
feel like
I
I'd
could
want
do
to go
those
to.
too.
I feel like I want to go to Coney Island for those, but
Yeah.
okay. But no, Detroit style pizza, Phil.
Yes.
And he didn't, and nobody else seemed to care about that. I'm like, I want to. I mean, I worked in pizza for 17 years, folks.
Okay.
So that was part of it. But I have never been to Detroit and had real Detroit style pizza.
Yes,
I'm excited about that.
It would be like if the team came to Atlantic City and I didn't take you all to the White House sub shop, which is perhaps the best sub shop in all the land. Okay, if so, there's no way I can go to Detroit and not have some Detroit style pizza. Like when I went to Chicago, I had to have a beef. I had to have, one of those Chicago beef sandwiches, and I had to have like a deep dish pizza, because that's what it's known for. And I don't want to go to a place like that and not have it. What's the point of being there?
I do. I love the food tours, Ray. Of course, that's where I go. If I go to somewhere known for a specific food, that's like going to Austin and not going to Franklin's barbecue. Like, why would
exactly.
you?
It would be like me taking you to Philadelphia and not going to Pat's Steaks and then going across the street to Gino's Steaks. And then not
you got to have both, right?
Yeah, and not going to 4th and South and taking you to Jim's Steaks, and not taking you to another part of Philadelphia and getting a D'Alessandro steak sandwich. I mean, you need to try all these things so that you can have a greater appreciation of whatever area you're in, because there are certain food items that originate in some of these places that you can't get anywhere else. I don't know where to get a reasonable facsimile of a Detroit style pizza in the Atlantic City area. And if I could, I'm not sure I'd want to. I would want to try the real thing.
I agree. I want to. It's coming to California, not eating an avocado.
Exactly. Or almonds.
Or really, is California notorious for almonds outside of us? I mean, I know we have a lot of them. I just didn't.
Yeah,
know that was a reputation.
which makes no sense at all because almond trees are so water intensive.
Oh
So
yeah,
that
yeah. We have lots
so
of
that
water
yeah,
intensive
we
food.
plant all the almond trees in California where I don't know, there's always a water shortage.
Well,
But
in
yes,
fairness, they're all planted up here in Northern California, and the
still,
only reason we have a shortage is because we keep sending our water to Southern California.
well,
So
yeah,
um, it's a thing here. Trust me. Uh,
I get it.
so I don't know about everybody else, but now I want to go to Philadelphia with Ray
Okay.
and have all the cheese sticks.
I have friends. I have friends from Arizona that would want to come out and visit me so we could just do a food tour of Philadelphia.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that would
okay, so I could take them to the various cheesesteak places, and I could take them to Nick's Roast Beef at 19th and Jackson Street in South Philadelphia to get the best roast beef sandwich you've ever had in your life. I mean, bring them fly them into Philadelphia, eat our way from Philadelphia to Atlantic City and back. Okay. And do it in like 3 days. You'll gain like 30 pounds and you'll have a whole new appreciation for food that you had no idea existed out here on the East Coast the way that it does. If you've never had a real honest to God Philly cheesesteak, or if you've never been to the White House sub shop in Atlantic City,
no.
you have no idea what some of the best sandwiches in this country really are like. And
Well,
so yeah,
you've convinced
I
me,
would
Ray. I got to go do a food tour. I mean, my best friend and I talk about food tours across the U.S. all the time. Now I got to look at the Northeast.
I'm in. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe we should drive to each one of these places in an electric vehicle.
that's right. We should. We should. We'll get a plaid, and we'll just that way we can get there in
Yeah,
like 5 minutes from
yeah.
place to place.
And we'll make Zach pay for
That's right. That's it. I like your thinking. That's even
Yes,
better. That's
yes,
even better.
yes, yeah.
So,
Well,
is
all
there
this
great
speaking
Middle
of
Eastern food
food,
in Dearborn? I
I'm
love
sure.
Middle Eastern food.
Okay.
So, well, you got to check that out too. Then, yeah,
Yeah.
uh, that's right. That's right. Phil was telling me about that actually. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, this become the Car Edge Food Channel.
we can have multiple channels.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't. My whole life doesn't have to revolve around cars, and neither does yours. I mean, that could be a
No,
big part of what we do,
yeah,
but we need fuel to be able to do what we do,
that's right.
and and so we need to check out all these different places to eat. We just do. I was I was I must say there was a show on TV, Man versus Food, and
Yep, I know
I
the
thought
show
to
well.
myself, Adam Richmond, and I thought to
Yep.
myself, my God, somebody went to a TV network and said, a cable provider, and said, I've got a great idea for a show. I can eat like a horse. Okay. You can send me all over the country and I can try and eat like a horse. You film it, I talk about it, and people will watch. And and by the way, you got to pay me a couple $100,000 a year or more to do it. And and I thought, what an inventive young man.
Yeah,
You know,
he has serious health problems from that show now.
well, of course, but
So,
that's besides the
yeah,
the concept of getting somebody to pay a couple $100,000 a year or more to just go around and eat free food.
yeah. How many shows did he do? I think he did like 35, right?
Yeah.
A year. So he was getting paid. If he was just getting scale, he was getting paid 1.2 million a year.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah. Plus,
Very
they paid for the food, the hotels, and
absolutely.
yeah. You got to see the world. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I only wish I would have come up with that concept, and sold somebody on it. And so that I could have eaten for free and
yeah.
stuffed myself. Yeah.
Boy,
Anthony
he got
Bourdain,
paid.
yeah.
He got paid an awful lot more
Yeah.
than that. He got paid close to $1 million per episode.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, first off, he was a name.
Yes.
But also he produced and did all that. So yeah, he got a lot more, and not that.
Yeah, I love those food shows
Yeah.
where people convince networks to pay them to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or to bake cupcakes.
whatever.
Like,
Yeah,
okay, you're
I'm in on that. I think we've digressed, and
yeah,
all this talk about food.
right around your lunchtime too.
I gotta
Now
eat.
now
Yeah,
you need a BAS, right?
a big ass sandwich.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. I need a cheesesteak, but I don't have actually we have a decent one down the street, but I
N-
don't know. I've never been to Philly, so I don't know how much it is.
I need to get you a real one.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we need to
You
do
you
that.
you you need to go to where some of this stuff originated and find
Yeah.
out what it really is. What everybody's trying to imitate. And literally, I need to take you to the White House sub shop in Atlantic City. Um, it is just it's mouth watering. It is life altering. It is just insane as to that a sandwich can taste that good, be that big, be that filling, and only be $10 for a half that is more than enough for one human being to consume at
Well,
one
I mean,
sitting.
you've convinced me. I gotta go. I mean, now that we don't have the office in Bethesda anymore, I
Yeah,
assume in December we're all meeting at your condo.
that would be
So,
fine.
yeah, yeah. So we can go there when we're all out there.
Oh my goodness, I'm just it would be my pleasure to introduce everybody. Yes, thank you for yesterday's PTO day, Farzad. I actually worked yesterday on one show, so I didn't get to apply for PTO yesterday.
Thank
Uh,
you for being here, Farzad.
Yes, yes, we
Um,
couldn't have
yeah,
done yesterday without you.
yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, so let you go eat now that we're all hungry, even
Yeah.
though it's only 10 o'clock in the morning over here. So we'll let you go, and we'll be back on Friday with something. I don't know. I don't think Justin's back this week, but I think he'll be back next week. Um, he
Okay.
did indeed have the baby on your birthday, Ray.
No, I heard it wasn't until Sunday.
Oh, it wasn't until Sunday. Oh, I thought
Yeah.
it was on your birthday.
No,
I
no.
misheard. I haven't spoken to him directly,
Yes, as I
oh, okay.
mentioned to Zach, I need to get his address because I need
Yeah,
to send them a little something. So,
me too. Me too.
yeah,
I have some stuff to send. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
but hopefully he'll be back in 2 weeks. We're anxiously awaiting his take on everything. He'll be tired and
yeah,
stressed,
yeah.
but back.
Anxious to get his take on changing diapers.
That's right. That's right. So, but we will be back on Friday with something about something. I don't know.
at about
We'll
at
yeah,
about 12:45 Eastern, 9:45 Pacific,
that's right.
8:45 Anchorage time, 6:45 in Honolulu, and 12:45 a.m. in Manila for some continued Manila madness.
That's right. So we are going to be huge in Manila when we get there. That's-
Absolutely. Looking
Um,
forward to it.
so have a good day, everyone.
Yep.
See
Bye
you
bye,
Friday.
everybody. Thanks so